Hello, I'm Tristan from Smart Home Point. In today's video I'm going to be comparing one of Reolink's 4K cameras with the Ring Floodlight Cam Plus, which records at full HD. But of course it's not just the resolution that matters, it's also the bitrate, the lens that's used, and also the frame rate. So I'm going to take a look at all this in this video. Reolink were kind enough to send me their RLC810A camera for me to test, but this is a fully independent review. I'm not being paid to say nice things about Reolink's products. Right. So the Reolink 810A camera is a 4K 8 megapixel camera. We all know that 4K is better than full HD, and you can clearly see in the intro that the Reolink cam has better image quality than the Ring Floodlight cam. But why did I also mention the bitrate, the lens and the frame rate as important factors? Well, let's discuss the lens first of all. Many smartphones now have multiple rear camera lenses, including my Samsung S10, which has 3. One is a normal lens, which they call a 1x zoom lens, and another is a 0.5 times wide-angle lens. The wide-angle lens captures more of a scene, which is very useful for security camera, of course, but it can also sometimes lead to a weird, distorted fishbowl type effect. I'm actually filming this video now on a 16mm wide-angle lens because this is a fairly small room, and with a normal lens you wouldn't see too much of me. The same is true for smart cameras. Ring's doorbells and cameras use wide-angle lenses, meaning that they capture a lot more of a scene. You can clearly see the difference in how much of a scene is captured by both cameras. But there's actually an important caveat here. Ring captures a lot of a scene due to their wide-angle lens, but then it's only 1080p resolution, meaning that the individual recorded detail is almost watered down or diluted. A wide-angle lens with a low capture resolution doesn't always make much sense, to be honest. Conversely, Reolink uses a normal lens, and by normal I mean one that isn't wide angle, nor is it a zoomed in telephoto lens. It then records the scene in 4K, which gives the captured items quite a lot of detail. And that's the first key point here. Reolink's image quality isn't superior to Ring's image quality purely due to the 4K resolution. It's also because less of the scene is captured, meaning the detail isn't diluted. But of course, a wide-angle lens can be very helpful for security camera, so Reolink's choice of lens here can be both a benefit and a disadvantage. One of the other things I mentioned in my intro was bitrate, a measure of how compressed the video is, essentially. And it's actually this that determines the image quality. A 4K video with a terrible bitrate will look, well, like this. In fact, full HD video can look better than 4K video if the bitrate is better on the full HD video. I've spoken about this topic more in a previous video, but the main thing to know is that Ring's bitrate is usually between 1 and 2 megabits per second, whilst Reolink's camera records at 8 megabits per second. This is another reason that the image quality is so much better on the Reolink camera. The bitrate is 4 to 8 times more than the Ring camera. Although, of course, this is partly to be expected because 4K video should naturally have a higher bitrate than full HD video due to the extra detail that's captured. To give a specific example, here you can see me holding a Dremel multi-tool box at different points. The Reolink camera captures this reasonably well, especially as I move closer to the camera, but the Ring camera struggles to show any real detail at all. This can of course be a worry for crime detection if you only have Ring cameras, since you might not always be able to make out great detail, unless the person is, very near the device. I also mentioned the frame rate in my intro. This is also called FPS, frames per second, and it refers to how many individual images, or frames, make up a video every single second. If the FPS is too low, everything will seem quite choppy, and fast-moving detail, such as a car driving by quickly, might not be captured properly. Generally speaking, recording at 24 to 30 FPS is fairly standard in many cases, whereas sport and action footage is often recorded at 60 FPS at least. Going back to the two cameras, Ring tends to record at 20 to 24 FPS, while the Reolink camera defaults to 25 FPS. As long as you're not using either of these to record sport, both of these are reasonable enough frame rates. To show this further, however, you can now see my car drive off. I actually set the Reolink frame rate to just 15 FPS here, and you can see that the footage is a bit choppier than the Ring footage. If I then increase the FPS to 25 FPS, it looks a lot more seamless, as you'd expect. Of course, A camera that records in 4K at 8 megapixels and 25 FPS will use a lot more storage and internet bandwidth than a camera recording at Full HD, 1.5 megapixels and 20 FPS. On average, my Reolink camera uses a lot more megabytes per second, whereas my Ring footage averages a lot less, as you can see on the screen. This has to be factored in if you do want to use a proper 4K security camera. One final example that I wanted to highlight is nighttime footage. Nighttime recording is naturally harder for cameras due to the lack of light, so cameras will switch to a night vision mode powered by infrared light, hence the reflections you can see now on the car windows. Here you can see a comparison of Reolink's and Ring's image quality, and again, Reolink wins the day. If I then switch the Ring floodlight on, both cameras quickly switch out of infrared recording mode. But again, Reolink's image quality is predictably better. You can see a hardcore Korea burglar who is wearing slippers and pyjama bottoms and appears to be duck-facing. Unfortunately for all of us, Reolink's camera shows this duck-facing pyjama criminal in decent enough quality, compared to Ring, which again struggles to show any great level of detail. And that just about wraps up today's video. I didn't shoot this to bash Ring. I'm merely doing this video to highlight how a 4K security camera can massively outperform a Full HD camera, assuming that the bitrate and the FPS are also good, of course. I am really impressed with the image quality of Reolink's 4K camera, even though the lens naturally captures a lot less of the scene than Ring's wide-angle lens. But overall, I wouldn't want to rely on Ring as a security camera, but I would happily rely on Reolink for this purpose. Where I like Ring, as I've mentioned in other videos, is their convenience. The app works fairly well, as does the integration with the Echo Show and Fire TV. Reolink doesn't currently support Amazon Echo, which is a pity. Plus, Ring's use of a wide-angle lens means that you end up capturing a lot more of what's happening all around your property. Although granted, then when you zoom in, the detail isn't very good. I hope you found this video useful. The other nice feature of this Reolink camera is that it's power over Ethernet, which is something that I'm going to be covering in more detail in another video shortly. So make sure that you're subscribed to my channel for that video. If you enjoyed this video, please click the thumbs up button, which will tell YouTube that more people should see this video. Thanks for watching.